Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. I render my salutations to the rootless root of all and the causeless cause of all. I place my prostrations at the feet of all the liberated masters. And I place my salutations to the divinity which is inherent and innate in all of us. Thank you so much, Mr. Vasudev and Mrs. Vani Vasudev, for giving me an opportunity to deliver a lecture through meditation and study platform, which you people have been doing since a very long time. And I always enjoy the company of the audience and the platform meditation and study circle. My contact with this particular platform is now nearly 22 years old. And although it is 22 years old, whenever I start speaking, I feel that this platform is such an energizing platform, and I really get motivated to speak. You have a wonderful class of audience who are all spiritual sadhaks, who are seriously into spirituality, and that gives a lot of motivation and energy to me to share whatever little I know with respect to the topic that I have chosen. So I'm really thankful to both of you, and also my mentor, my master, my guide, and the person who was responsible in bringing me to the lecturing field, that is Mr. S. Krishnamurti. Mr. S. Krishnamurti was my beloved philosopher and guide who introduced me to this platform and immensely shared his knowledge and wisdom with me. I also thank Srimati Rukmini Krishnamurti for being a guide and for being always a well-wisher to me. And she was also responsible in correcting me and putting me on the proper pedestal so that I could speak comfortably in front of an audience. So I thank all of you, and especially the audience. The topic for discourse today, as Srimati Vani Vasudev said, is a Vedantic topic. A Vedantic topic which deals with Dvaita Siddhanta or dualism. Dualism. It is titled as Purusha and Prakriti are inseparable. What is this Purusha and Prakriti, and why do I say that they are inseparable, are the most important issues which we are going to discuss today. It is said that in Hindu philosophy, there are Shad Darshanas, or 6 darshanas. Out of those 6 darshanas, one darshana is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga was propounded by sage Kapila. And Sankhya Yoga deals with reality and creation. How the creation happened, what were the abstract principles which were behind the creation and which are in the creation is wonderfully explained in Sankhya Yoga. The second chapter of Bhagavad Gita is said to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The major teachings of Sri Krishna are the cream of all the teachings of Sri Krishna to Arjuna and humanity are present in the second chapter, which is called Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means it is something which is related to reality. So, Lord Krishna spoke about reality to Arjuna and motivated him to carry on with his duty when he was utterly disappointed and when he was under moral distress and unable to carry on as a soldier in the battlefield. Having understood the reality, Arjuna could get a fair idea what is his role in this world which is pervaded by reality. And he was set on the journey of fulfilling his karma. So that's why the second chapter is called as Sankhya Yoga. See, by understanding the reality, the mindset of Arjuna completely changed. He could understand what is existence and what is his role in existence. The moment he could understand his role, define his role, he played his role to perfection. So this is what is important as a human being for all of us. If we try to understand the reality and we know, and if we know fairly, clearly, what is our role in this universe which is pervaded by reality, probably a paradigm shift may occur in the way we look at things, the way we work, the way we live, the way we relate to this world. So such a change has to happen. We need to actually dwell into the concept of reality and try to understand reality. It's very difficult to understand reality because with our intellect we cannot understand. Probably the same thing is going to happen today with the topic that I am dwelling because it's related to reality. Please don't use the intellect. Intellect may become a barrier for anybody to understand entity which is beyond intellect. Intellect can help you in understanding what is possible within a limitation. But reality is something which is beyond intellect. Your mind cannot comprehend it. Your consciousness needs to go beyond mind in order to understand the transcendental reality. So according to your Sankhya, the whole universe was created by two abstract entities called Purusha and Prakriti. And many of you might have heard of these terms, which we repeatedly use in the Hindu philosophy and in Sanatana Dharma, in perennial wisdom. Purusha is the soul, the spirit, the self, the pure consciousness, and the only source of consciousness. Purusha is the spirit or the soul which is dwelling inside our body as of now. And don't understand that Purusha is the consciousness which is dwelling only within me. The same Purusha is dwelling within every other person, every animal, every plant, every animate, and every inanimate thing. Purusha pervades the whole universe. There is nothing which is not pervaded by Purusha. Purusha is the pure consciousness. And that pure consciousness dwells in our body as the soul or the spirit. Whereas Prakriti is that which you call nature in all her aspects. Prakriti literally means creatrix. Creatrix means it's a technical term. Etymologically, creatrix means the female creative energy. The female creative energy. If Prakriti is female creative energy, what is Purusha? Purusha is the male or the masculine passive energy, according to Sankhya. Purusha is the masculine abstract principle, and Prakriti is the feminine abstract creative principle. It is said that these two principles, male and female principles, are the only realities that exist in the universe. Nothing else. Each and every human being is also nothing but a blend of Purusha and Prakriti. The Purusha is the indwelling spirit, and the Prakriti is your physical body, the mind, and the fluctuations in the mind, what you call the emotions and the thoughts. Our physical body is nothing but Prakriti. It's made of Panchabhutas, the 5 basic elements, what you call Prithvi, Jala, Vayu, Agni, Akasha. These are the 5 basic elements from which this physical body is made of. And this physical body is a representation of Prakriti. And the physical body works basically according to the thoughts and emotions that arise in our mind. The mind or the mental stuff what we carry is also Prakriti. And whatever impulses that arise through our mind or by our mind in the form of emotions, in the form of thoughts, they are also Prakriti. There is a spirit inside which is totally resting, relaxing within the body and is full of joy. That is your Purusha. That is our Ananda Swarupa. That is what we call the basic source. The whole existence is like that. The whole existence consists of these 2 principles called life and matter. the two fundamental principles. If life can be equated to soul or spirit, then the matter can be equated to Prakriti. Matter is nothing but Prakriti. According to Aurobindo, a great seer or sage of India, life is a movement of the eternal in time. The eternal, or the spirit within us, keeps moving in time. And that's what is life. In this process, Purusha is the seer and the Prakriti is the object of sight. Purusha is the seer and Prakriti is the object of sight. So just take our body and try to understand. There is somebody residing inside the body, and that somebody is seeing the things, hearing the sound, tasting the food, smelling the fragrance, and enjoying the touch sensation out of the 5 Jnanendriyas, or the sense organs. As long as that person who is the seer, the smeller, the toucher, whatever you call, is there, you're experiencing it. That seer in the body, you can't define. Who is he? What is he? How is he? Because even saying he may not be correct. That particular principle which experiences everything and resides in the body, the soul or the spirit, is attributeless. It doesn't have any properties of its own. It is unthinkable, indescribable, immutable, intangible. Because that is the God principle within us. That is the speck of consciousness that we are originally. Hence, Purusha is something which is indescribable because it's very subjective. In fact, Purusha is neither objective nor subjective, they say. It's beyond, it's transcendental. It is really transcendental. And this Purusha is masculine principle. The spirit within us, or the soul within us, or the masculine principle within us, is the Avinashi principle, the one on eternal journey, the one who is residing within our material body and continues to reside in our body till our death. And after death, the Purusha will not be destroyed. The Purusha will leave this Prakriti, leave this specific Prakriti which has given a form to your body, and will continue his journey in the other forms of Prakriti. That means to say, Purusha is a speck of consciousness who keeps journeying or traveling from one form of Prakriti to another form. Form in the sense, the shape. As of now, I am carrying a speck of consciousness within this physical body, within this emotional body, within this mental body, what belongs to me? These bodies are all upadhis. Upadhis means vehicles. The vehicles which are given to me for doing the journey on this plane till I die. These vehicles are nothing but Prakriti, made of Prakriti or substance. They're all ultimately made of Tanmatras. And these Tanmatras are nothing but the creation of Mula Prakriti. I'll come to Mula Prakriti later, but at this point of time, understand, Prakriti, when I use this particular term, generally it means to something that has come out of Mula Prakriti and that has pervaded the whole world. Just like your Parabrahman or Supreme Consciousness or the Paramatma, what you call, how he has pervaded the whole universe, Prakriti has also pervaded the whole universe. But the pervasiveness of the Purusha or the Paramatma is much, much subtler than the Prakriti. And that is the reason Purusha has pervaded even the Prakriti. I said Prakriti has pervaded the whole universe, and even that Prakriti is pervaded by Purusha, because Purusha is much more subtler and Purusha is much more pervasive by nature. Sankhya makes a clear distinction between two irreducible, innate and independent realities, as I said, called Purusha and Prakriti. Sankhya clearly distinguishes, clearly differentiates Purusha and Prakriti very, very clearly. Let us see what are the differences as given by Sankhya Shastra. I am sharing my slide now. Just give me a minute. Is my slide visible to you? Is my slide visible to you?
No, yes. Okay.
So to begin with, let us understand the differences between Purusha and Prakriti. Both are eternal. Both are eternal. Don't think Prakriti gets destroyed. At the time when the whole universe gets diluted, when the whole universe gets into extinction, Prakriti stays as unmanifest.
Dr. Nagesh, can you put it in slideshow mode? Press the hide button next to stop presenting.
Yeah. Is it in slide mode now?
Hide button. Please press the hide button.
I have done that. I have done that. Have I done that?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still able to see stop presenting and hide the bottom at the bottom. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So Purusha is eternal. Prakriti is also eternal. Never think Prakriti gets completely destroyed. Definitely not. Because these two are eternal principles. Purusha does not create, whereas Prakriti creates. Purusha is uncreated, and even Prakriti is uncreated. But Prakriti is the creative force. Purusha is passive, whereas Prakriti is dynamic. Purusha is absolute, Prakriti is also absolute. Purusha is infinite. Prakriti is also infinite. Purusha is pure, but Prakriti is said to be slightly impure. Purusha is neither the cause nor the effect, but Prakriti is the cause and the Prakriti is the effect. Purusha is the consciousness, whereas Prakriti is the matter. The matter that is available in this world. Everything is a matter. Even your thoughts are matter. Your emotions are matter. They're subtle. But they're subtle, that's all. Matter is made of tanmatras. And tanmatras are probably subnuclear, subnuclear particles. And out of the tanmatras, the basic stuff of the universe has come out. And from that stuff, our physical body, our emotional body, our mental bodies are made of. And whatever substances that you see in the world is also made of the same tanmatras. So, Purusha and Prakriti are unified. What I mean to say is, they are one and the same. They are two faces of same coin. Also, although there are some of the features which are diametrically opposite or contradictory characteristics are there, they still blend harmoniously. You can call Purusha and Prakriti as two faces of the same coin. Prakriti is the potency that brings about evolution and change. In the empirical universe, it is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the primal motive force. Bhagavad Gita calls Prakriti as the primal. Primal means the most ancient. Sanatana, Adi Kala. It is the most primitive motive force that actually is responsible for creation. As I said, Purusha is pure, is beyond subject and object. One cannot understand Purusha for that. If you can understand Purusha, that will not be Purusha at all. Okay. Purusha is something which is beyond our mental stuff. Purusha simply just is. Purusha means what is Purusha. Beingness. Even not beingness, beingness. Beingness is the Purusha. But because of the presence of Prakriti, what happens is Purusha gets attracted to Prakriti. Prakriti has a kind of attractive energy. Prakriti attracts. Invariably, the Prakriti attracts the Purusha. And Purusha gets attracted to nature or Prakriti in the way a man is attracted when he watches a beautiful woman dancing. Purusha pervades into Prakriti and gets trapped in the layers of Prakriti. This is what happens. The limitless Purusha gets attracted to Prakriti, that is, the spirit gets drawn into the matter because the spirit is the Purusha, matter is the Prakriti. The matter or the Prakriti attracts the spirit and the spirit descends into the matter, enlivening the matter, and in the process, the matter gets animated, the matter gets the touch of Purusha and gets enlivened, But in the process, the Purusha gets trapped or imprisoned in Prakriti. Soon, Purusha forgets that it was ever separate and ceases to struggle to regain the freedom. See, this is something which is so wonderfully explained in Sankhya Shastra. In our theosophical literature, we say the Purusha or the life stream enters into the planes. We say there are different planes and different koshas. The spirit passes through the different planes and different koshas, entering into the physical body ultimately and getting trapped into this solid, concrete physical body. And in the process, the Purusha even forgets that it was separate. That's why in Christianity, there is a wonderful statement. This statement is an eye-opener for us, and we can see a parallel between what Christianity and what Hinduism are preaching. They're one and the same. I said our Sankhya Shastra, our Sanatana Dharma, even our Upanishads say Purusha will penetrate the multiple layers of Prakriti, enlivens the Prakriti, and in the process he gets trapped in the Prakriti. And Purusha is still carrying an intention to get away from Prakriti, but Prakriti binds Purusha in such a way that it becomes difficult for Purusha to escape. This, in Christianity, they say, man is nothing but highest spirit crucified into lowest matter. Man is nothing but highest spirit, but crucified into lowest matter. When they say man is highest spirit, that means to say every man. So I'm not saying specifically to men, please. Okay? I mean, it is applicable to men and women both. Both. So I'm using in general the term called man or human, let us say, is the highest spirit. The highest spirit is nothing but Purusha. But what has happened to this Purusha? The highest spirit is crucified. Crucified into lowest matter. That lowest matter is the Prakriti. The Ghana Rupa. The solid form of the Prakriti. The concrete form of the Prakriti. That is called as the lowest matter. So 100%. My body is made of lowest matter and my soul is made of highest spirit. My soul is the highest spirit and the soul is trapped in this Panchakoshas. In this Panchakoshas are 5 bodies, the gross and the subtle bodies. It's trapped inside. And this happens when Purusha invariably gets attracted and descends down step by step into denser and denser layers or planes of nature, and in the process get completely entrapped. So this is a benefit for Prakriti because Prakriti gets enlivened. Prakriti gets potentiated. Prakriti gets animated. But Purusha always wants freedom, but Prakriti always wants to bind him. Purusha wants to escape, but Prakriti imprisons the Purusha. This is wonderfully explained by Osho. Osho, you might have heard, Acharya Rajneesh gives a wonderful metaphor to explain this. Before going to that metaphor given by Acharya Rajneesh, let us just try to understand Purusha as the Shiva Tattva and Prakriti as the Shakti Tattva or the Parvati Tattva. That's why in this slide I have Shiva and Parvati. Shiva represents the Purusha, the Atmic principle, the spirit within us, and that's why we say as long as Shiva is there inside as spirit, we are respected. The moment the Shiva escapes from the body or the Shiva leaves the body becomes Shava. The moment Shiva leaves the body is no more called Shiva because the Shiva principle or the Purusha principle is out. And the body is no more enlivened, no more potentiated or activated like the way it was. So the moment Shiva leaves, the body becomes a Shava as such. It is called Shava, and in Hindu practices, we don't even take the body inside the house because without a Shiva, the body became a Shava, and it should not be. This is one of our beliefs as such. Christianity wisely, that's why called every human body is nothing but a highest spirit crucified into lowest matter. And Osho explains this with a metaphor. The metaphor he says or he uses is that the Purusha and Prakriti together in combination may be compared to an earthenware lamp which is lit. He compares it, the combination of Purusha and Prakriti, he compares that with an earthenware lamp which is lit. You know, in the earthenware lamp, we put oil, and in the oil we dip a wick and we light the wick. The moment we light the wick, as the lamp starts emitting light, we consider it is God. Light is God for us. That's why we celebrate Diwali. Light is a symbol of God. You know why it is a symbol of God? We usually pray during Deepavali in front of lamps which are lit. And these lamps are invariably earthenware lamps, where the oil is placed and a wick is lit. If you carefully see this earthenware lamp, the flame which is seen in the lamp is pure. And this flame is emitting the light, but the flame is pointing upwards. The flame is raising upwards. The flame is moving upwards. This flame is nothing but the Purusha. This flame is the spirit in the body. This flame, which is raising up, pointing towards sky, wants to liberate, wants to escape, That is why it is, when it is lit, the flame is pointing upwards and moving upwards. It wants to move away, really wants to move away. But the earthenware, which is made of clay, is the Prakriti. This Prakriti, the wick is also Prakriti. Oil is also Prakriti. This Prakriti is not allowing the flame to move away, and the flame is binded to the Prakriti. So, symbolically, the flame is the spirit, the earthen lamp, the oil and the wick are the Prakriti. And whenever you light a lamp, it signifies both the abstract realities, what you call Purusha and Prakriti. And when you understand this metaphor clearly, you can appreciate that the lamp gets its value and the lamp receives the salutations because it is a fine blend of Purusha and Prakriti. Both are present in harmony. They are in harmony. That harmonious blend is seen everywhere in this universe. This is precisely the reason why man is called highest spirit, that is Purusha, crucified into lowest matter, that is Prakriti. The cross in Bible signifies that only. If you go to any church, especially the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, you can see the cross on which the Jesus is crucified. Jesus, when he was crucified on the cross, and when he became Christ, that Christ or Jesus is the Purusha. The Purusha who is crucified to the wooden cross, that is matter and Prakriti, and that wooden cross represents the greed, the lust, the desire, the jealousy, the envy, everything of humanity. All that has come out of the minds of people. And that's nothing but Prakriti. On the cross which is made of Prakriti, the pure spirit of Jesus or Christ was crucified. So, this symbolically represents the status of every human being where the highest spirit got crucified within the body, which is made of lowest matter. But what happened to Jesus Christ? What happened to Purusha there? Jesus Christ got resurrected. On the very third day, Christ was resurrected. That means the Purusha got liberated. He became a Jivan Mukta. He moved into freedom. Each one of us is on our own crosses. Every individual in this world is carrying a cross, and this cross is nothing but the cross which is made of Prakriti. And Prakriti, you know very well, the mental stuff, the desires, the greed, the lust, the anger, the hatred, the dislike. All these Arishad Varga, what you call, which has emanated from the mind, is nothing but a part and parcel of Prakriti. Each one of us is carrying that cross on which our soul is already crucified. Jesus got crucified on a physical cross. That's a symbolic representation. But each one of us is crucified on a subtle cross. The spirit of us is crucified on the subtle cross, which is made of our emotions, thoughts, our karmas, things like that. We all need to get liberated. We all need to attain moksha. We attain moksha only when our spirit escapes from the clutches of Prakriti. That means to say, our pure spirit gets liberated. It gets liberated only when our cross gets devoid of that mental stuff. That means to say, every human being is crucified. The spirit is crucified. That's why in Mankutimana Kagga, D.V. Gundappa wonderfully writes a poem for us. I'll just read the poem to you, and let's together try to understand the meaning of it. Ninna shilubeya neene hottu sagisabeko, annaba tammaba endaluvudeko. Ninna shilubeya neene hottu sagisabeko, annaba tammaba endaluvudeko. Ninnodale chite manne tarpana ninage mankutimma. See, wonderfully he says, Ninna shiluveya neene hottu sagisabeko. You need to carry your cross. Oh man, or a man, you have to carry your cross. No one else is there to carry your cross. Don't cry. Don't plead. Oh, my brother, please come. Because no one else, whether your younger brother or elder brother, whether your dad, whether your uncle, whether your friend or your neighbor, nobody can carry your cross. Your cross is the union of the spirit within you to the Prakriti within you. And as long as this Purusha and Prakriti are crucified, there is no liberation at all. There is no moksha at all. This Kagga of DVG so wonderfully explains the concept of Purusha and Prakriti. The concept of Purusha and Prakriti is not alien to Hindu philosophy. It is there in Hindu philosophy since ancient times. But Kapila Maharshi propounded it as Sankhya philosophy. There are many other philosophies of world where the same concept is present, but they're explained in a different way. Chinese believe in a philosophy where they say the whole creation is nothing but a combination of yin and yang. Anything and everything that you see and that you cannot see in this universe is a combination of yin and yang, where yin is the feminine principle and yang is the masculine principle. This is the symbolic presentation of yin and yang. You can see the white stripe in the circle with a black dot, and you can see a black stripe on the circle with a white spot. What we mean by this is the white stripe is the yin, but yin has A black spot, that means to say there is a speck of yang. Similarly, there is the black stripe, which is yang. In it you see a white spot or a speck that is yin. The meaning is Purusha and Prakriti, otherwise yin and yang, are inseparable. It is the same biologically in human beings. Invariably, a man carries androgens. Androgens are the hormones which are responsible for making a person a man. These are the hormones, androgens. But in a man, you can even see estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone of female. But estrogen hormone is present in man, but in a very, 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 very less concentration. Similarly, in a woman, estrogens are there. Estrogen is a female hormone that makes a person female. But the same female also will have very low levels of androgens or testosterone is there in the body of a female. That means to say no person is purely female, no person is purely male. I am a male because my testosterones are predominantly working, functioning. But that doesn't mean to say I don't have the feminine characteristics. I do have. Similarly, a female or a woman has some masculine properties. We have seen many instances in the history where women fought like men. Isn't it? We have also seen in the history many times men became so tender-hearted, they were more feminine. So it's all ultimately the expression. Yin and yang, the way the Chinese people represent it, half of the circle is yin, half of the circle is yang. If you carefully see, the outer circle indicates all things in the world are made of yin and yang. The circle represents the whole thing in the universe, and that is made of feminine and masculine features or principles. If you see, there is a small bubble. It's a very small bubble in the center of the circle. This bubble is nothing but the Wu-Ji, or the still point. That is the calm in the midst of the storm. Stillness in movement. That is a perfect blend of masculine and feminine, where there is utter stillness. If you see the dots, these dots indicate that there is no absolute yin or yang. Each contains the germ of the other, speck of the other. If you move around the circle, if you move around the periphery of the circle, you will come to know that yin and yang are the natural cycles, and one has to move from yin to yang and yang to yin. And these circles or these cycles are perpetual by nature. And this also is nothing but a representation of Purusha and Prakriti, or the dualism of Chinese philosophy. It represents the opposite characteristics. This circle wonderfully represents that the opposite characteristics can actually coexist in harmony and may complement each other. This concept was proposed long time by Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was the founder of Taoism. Taoism is much older than Buddhism. Taoism and Confucianism are the two major religions which took birth in China. And Taoism was propounded by Lao Tzu, who came out with this concept of yin and yang. And the whole of Chinese medicine is nothing but a philosophy based on yin and yang as such. The same Purusha and Prakriti can also be understood wonderfully through Mundaka Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad has a first verse or shloka which is called as Dvasuparna Shloka. This Dvasuparna Shloka is said to be one of the most important shlokas of Upanishads. Mundaka itself is a major Upanishad, but it has very few shlokas. And out of those shlokas, the first one is the Dvasuparna Shloka. Suparna means birds. Suparna means bird. Dvasuparna means there are two birds. So this shloka is all about two birds. What exactly it says? I'll just read the verse for you. Dvasuparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vrikshaha parishasvajate tayoranyaha pippalam swadatyanscha ananyo abhichakshiti. The meaning of it is, there are two birds which are inseparable companions and they perch on the same tree. The verse says there are two birds. These two birds are inseparable. This is what I'm trying to point out in my title also. Purusha and Prakriti are inseparable. So the shloka also says, two birds which are inseparable companions, they perch on the same tree. One eats the fruit, the other simply looks on. The verse gets over with that. So there are two birds perching on the same tree. Whereas one bird is mutely looking, simply looking. The other bird is eating fruits. The first bird, which is eating fruit, is our lower self. The bird which is eating fruit is our lower self, the individual self. That is nothing but our Dehatma. And Dehatma is the combination of physical body, emotional body, and the lower mental body. Physical body with which we perform actions. Emotional body which is responsible for our emotions. And lower mental body which is responsible for our thoughts. So our actions, our emotions, our thoughts, they are all related to Prakriti. The physical body is nothing but a product of Prakriti made of Panchabhutas and Tanmatras. Our emotions and thoughts are nothing but the products of our mind. Chitta Vritti, they're all Chitta Vritti. A lot of impulses which are coming out of mind. The mental stuff and the physical stuff, that is Dehatma, and the Dehatma is the bird which is actually chewing the fruit. It is so engrossed. This bird is engrossed in the worldly affairs. It is probably searching for fruits. It is pecking the fruits. It is tasting the fruits. It is discriminating the fruits, good fruits, bad fruits. It is hunting for something good, and in the process, it is desirous. And this is the lower mind with the physical body and the emotional body. That's what we call Dehatma, our gross body, our mind. And this is nothing but Prakriti. Prakriti is the one which is active. It is subjected to Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. The three characteristics. Prakriti is affected by these three gunas. Gunas, triguna. What is the triguna? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Because of these three gunas, the bird is desirous. It's having some desires of its own. It wants to fulfill those desires. In the process, it is searching for something. It is seeking for something. And it truly represents the Prakriti. Look at the other bird, which is simply watching. The witness. The mute witness. The silent witness. That silent witness is just observing what is all happening there. What is all happening there. Without any reaction, without any response, and that is the pure consciousness of ours, and that is our spirit. The spirit or the Purusha. The Purusha, as I said, is passive. The Purusha is silent witness. Whereas the Prakriti, which is afflicted by the three gunas, Sattva, Tamas and Rajas, is engaged in its own activity, or we can also say mischief. And this is how it is wonderfully explained in Mundaka. So the silent bird is the Purusha. Probably it is mute witness, and it's from a higher level, from a higher level. It's watching everything. But this lower bird is not able to understand that silence. It's not heeding to the subtle voice of the Purusha. Purusha has a voice probably, and that voice is a silent voice, what we call as voice of silence. That voice of silence is unheard by our Prakriti. So, it is said wonderfully by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that the God that we have is both personal and impersonal, because the God has both the forms, Saguna and Nirguna. God is personal through Bhakti Yoga. Through Bhakti Yoga, you give an attribute to the God and you pray the God. Whereas there is a God who is attributeless, that is Nirguna Brahma. Both are consciousness only, both are Purusha only. Purusha who is having a form, Purusha who is formless. When you pray Rama, when you pray Krishna, when you pray Shakti, in a form, you have a personal deity. Personal deity, you give an attribute, that is Saguna Rupa. Whereas the Nirguna is attributeless, where you simply sit in penance and you do not have any attribute, neither in your mind nor outside in the physical world, and you pray. That's why Ramakrishna said, Shakti stands for the personal aspect of the impersonal. Both personal and impersonal are the two aspects of the same reality, or the integral Brahma, or the supreme Purusha. It is fundamentally the static and dynamic aspects of the same reality which are complementary and remain inseparably together. So, it is fundamentally the static and the dynamic aspects. The static aspect is the Purusha. The dynamic aspect is the Prakriti. They are complementary. They are complementing each other and they are inseparably together. That's why we cannot understand either Purusha or Prakriti. Both are indescribable. The Moola Prakriti is completely indescribable. But the moment you give a form to the Prakriti, you start describing it. The moment it takes the shape or a form. But in originality, Moola Prakriti or Aditi is there in the unmanifest. Before the cosmos got manifested, everything was there in the unmanifest. Avyakta. ವ್ಯಕ್ತ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಯಾಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮೊದಲು ಅವ್ಯಕ್ತವಿತ್ತು. ಆ ಅವ್ಯಕ್ತವನ್ನೇ ಪರಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಉಪನಿಷತ್ಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಅದನ್ನ ಯಹೇವ ಅಂತ ಯಹೋದ್ಯರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಬುದ್ಧಕಾಯ ಅಂತ ಬೌದ್ಧರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಕಾಸ್ಮಿಕ್ ಎಗ್ ಅಂತ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅನ್ಮ್ಯಾನಿಫೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಂಗ್ಯುಲಾರಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. In that, there was Moola Prakriti. The Moola Prakriti, the other name of Moola Prakriti is Aditi. Aditi. Aditi is a divine name. It's a very divine name. If some girl comes to me saying that her name is Aditi, I'll be so pleased to listen to that word, basically because that is the original feminine abstract principle. It was there in the unmanifest. The Moola Prakriti then started differentiating and so many things came out of it. It's okay. So this is what is the relationship between Purusha and Prakriti. So it is wise to say that reality is something which is mysterious, wherein the seeming contradictions are harmoniously blended and wherein the being and becoming, consciousness and matter, subject and object, Brahman and Maya, unmanifest and manifest, absolute and relative, impersonal and personal, Purusha and Prakriti, all different expressions of the same reality are held together in one embrace. This is a beautiful gist of the text, which I obtained from a wonderful writing, from a wonderful write-up. This write-up I got from Speaking Tree, which used to be published every day in Times of India earlier. I do not know as of now. I have a lot of collection of those speaking trees. And one of the wonderful speaking trees, this is what they have said. The reality is very mysterious. It is made of seeming contradictions. Contradiction like Purusha and Prakriti, passive and active, objective and subjective. Seemingly contradictory principles, they are harmoniously blended, wherein being and becoming, being is the Purusha, becoming is the Prakriti. Consciousness and matter, consciousness is the Purusha, matter is the Prakriti. Subject and object, subject is the Purusha, object is the Prakriti. Brahman and Maya, Brahman is the Purusha and Maya is the Prakriti. Unmanifest and manifest, unmanifest is a Purusha, Manifest is a Prakriti, absolute and relative. Absolute is a Purusha and relative is a Prakriti. Impersonal and personal. Impersonal is Purusha, personal is Prakriti. Purusha and Prakriti, all different expressions of the same reality. They are held together in one embrace. So Purusha and Prakriti, unless they are held in one embrace and they are harmoniously synchronized, this world cannot exist. This universe cannot exist. But the ultimate objective of every man, although he is a blend of Purusha and Prakriti, the Purusha has to be liberated from Prakriti. The spirit in the body should get liberated from the bonds of or bindings of Prakriti. And that's why in every Janma, we try to lessen or reduce the karmic burden that we are carrying. That's what in Kagga D.V. Gundappa said, Ninna shilubeya neene hottu sagisabeko. The shilube is made of our karmas. And our karmas are nothing but our mental stuff. That mental stuff is nothing but Prakriti. That's how they are all related to each other. So I am carrying the burden of my Prakriti. Ninna shilubeya neene hottu sagisabeko. You have to carry all those karmic load that you are accumulating. And unless you reduce or lessen it, there is no way that the Purusha can be liberated. But please remember, this Purusha and Prakriti are two faces of same coin, or they are the two abstract entities of one and the only principle. They are inseparable, but when they get separated, the pure consciousness gets liberated from this world, and then the stuff does not belong to this world. The stuff belongs to the transcendental supreme consciousness plane, or the stuff belongs to the supreme consciousness world or plane. And that's what is the ultimate objective of every human being. Thank you so much for patient listening.